What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the NH Experience. On today's show, I got a very special guest, prominent producer, Grammy Award-winning producer, Platinum Plus producer. Yes, he has worked with the greats like Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, The Game, J-Lo, Christina Aguilera, Kendrick Lamar, K-Dot, and so many more. He is the one, the only Focus. What's going on, sir? How you doing, man?
How are you, King? How you doing, man? I
I'm
really
doing.
appreciate you, bro. I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, man, and thank you for what you've done, not just for music, but for the culture as well. What so much to get into, man, because you said have a plethora of just music history that you had definitely created and also been a part of. Uh, want to talk to you just about early on. How did you get your start in music? Who were some of your influences that got you down the path of being a premier producer that you are?
My main influence in pretty much everything that I do is my father, Bernard Edwards from Chic. He was the bassist, and one of the main reasons why the group was Chic. You know, him and Nile Rodgers. So I wanted to be just like him, and I wanted to impress him, and that was literally why I started. When I was 6, I knew I wanted to make music, and when I was 8, I knew I wanted to be a producer, and it was literally that simple.
At what point, because as a kid, you're like, okay, that's my dad, right? But you don't know the impact of what who your dad was to the world as far as Chic and Nile Rodgers as well. At what point did you realize, okay, this is not just my dad. This is a man that's a part of music history along with Nile Rodgers.
You know what's funny? It's not something that was ever. My dad wouldn't let that be the big thing about him. He wanted to be just my dad when he was around. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So we didn't get to experience too many moments of him on stage. We got to see him maybe once or twice as children, me and my siblings. And you know, I've been in the studio with him, and I think I was more impressed with the producer side of things. I didn't get to see the impact of my dad on stage all the time until seeing the YouTube videos and actually knowing his involvement with Rappers Delight and hip hop history because they call him the Godfather because of that bass line. And so I think the impact started to hit me a lot later on in life because it was just dad doing the job and we all love music, you know.
Now, obviously, when you said you started, you want to be a producer when you were 8, you're going through the growing pains, you're learning different things, you learn different sounds, instruments, things of that nature. At what point did you feel like, okay, I'm ready to go out here and market myself as this producer and try to shop beats, try to shop production to various artists?
I did that in my teens. Like when I turned about 16, I tried to start doing that. And nothing really materialized for me until I turned 19 when I got out of school and really just started trying to make things work. That's when things started to materialize, and I didn't want to be industry brat, so I went by my moniker Focus, and you know, um, it took a long time, but got some programming money and a couple of side gigs, but it was nothing really major until later.
Now, how did Focus get the ear of the iconic producer known as Dr. Dre?
Uh, I was working with my partner at the time, Jason Weaver. Uh, I met him through Omar Gooding. They were doing a show called Smart Guy, and I used to produce Omar Gooding's rap group. And Omar brought me to Jason. Jason had wanted to put together a production company in Atlanta, and so we worked together a couple of times. And he offered me a position, and I told him I definitely would do it. And under his production company, we did a we produced an artist. His name was Dax, and Dax had Dre's ear because his people were um, locked in with Dre. So it was really crazy that I got to produce the whole thing, his whole demo, and Dre liked what we were doing.
Oh, that's dope, man. So the fact that you're Aftermath Entertainment, this is Dr. Dre. This is the man who's been synonymous with NWA, Eazy-E, Death Row with Snoop and DOC and the Dog Pound, and the list goes on, working with Tupac. So seeing Dr. Dre, obviously he's been working with iconic groups from NWA, to working with Death Row, with introducing the world to Snoop Dogg, the Dog Pound, Lady of Rage, working with Tupac, and then now creating Aftermath Entertainment, seeing him, but then you're now working with Dr. Dre. What was that experience like for you, and how did that make you a better producer, just being under his tutelage and working alongside with him?
Seeing Dre and his come up, it was different for me because I'm from the East Coast. So the where my attention was, I don't know about everybody else, but I wanted to be part of like the movement in New York. At the time it was Bad Boy, so I definitely wanted to be a hit man. I thought I had the chops for it. But to turn around and see Dre and how he would use instrumentation instead of sampling, that definitely broadened my horizons as far as my production was concerned, and his attention to detail, uh, his perfection, and how he works with his sonics. It changed the game for me. I didn't. I used to produce like an East Coast producer at chops at any East Coast producer, but we have a very down the middle driven sound. It's very aggressive, but there's a beautiful way to be aggressive with it kind of being bigger than life, and spreading it out and using your whole stereo field. And I learned that when I got here.
When I think about the Aftermath production staff, I think about you. I think about DJ Khalil. Early on, Butter was working there as well. I mean, just having those producers, you all had different sounds, but you all were so instrumental in making sure that you pushing that line forward. What did you learn the most by just being not just with Aftermath, but under the Interscope umbrella, and then working with various artists like The Game, like 50 Cent, like Eminem, and people like that helped you, exemplify your production skills?
The biggest thing that I learned is that you'll never get anywhere by yourself, and the team is very important. And there's nothing wrong with that. Most of my career, if you look at a lot of my credits, it was just me. I wasn't part of Dre's production team, I was part of his production staff. I wasn't part of the production team. So Mike Elizondo was part of that team. Dewan Parker was part of that team. Mark Batson, Shea Pope. When you talk about those names, you're talking about literally the inner workings of the Aftermath sound. And so for us to all kind of click, and you know, Denon Porter, and like you said, Khalil, and like we all were just in the room. High Tech was with us, like we were all just in rooms together and just kind of feeding off one another. It's just the team is just amazing, bro. The team is it's still to this day infallible.
Man, I'm telling you, you guys made some really legendary music. I mean, even to this day.
Appreciate it.
I mean, we used to, I'm from the old school, so we used to go get the CD, look, okay, check the credits. All right, who did this? Okay, who rapped on this? Like we were that type of intrigue because of the music, because of the energy and the vibe.
Right,
We can only imagine what went on in the studio. What were some of
right.
those studio sessions like for you, working with the producers that you named, to be able to create those iconic sounds?
I mean, it's like working with your family. I think a lot of the things that um, people think that it's a bunch of women in here and liquor and partying and all. It's not. We really do. It's a great camaraderie, and you'll start to feel the energy because the room will start to swirl. Ideas just start popping out of nowhere, and it's an amazing synergy that happens when I get together with the right people and the right souls. And even being in the rooms, we all kind of came up together at that time, but being in the room with people like Battle Cat is still with us. You know what I'm saying? It's still part of that Aftermath family and Aftermath sound. So, being in the room with him, it's just like whatever he's done in his career and his longevity and his legendary status, it always comes into the session. So you just learn where you can learn and you feed off and glean and then you just put it to work.
What is some of the best advice you've gotten from Dr. Dre, High Tech, and Battle Cat?
Dr. Dre taught me, and this is the biggest thing in my career, space is an instrument. Pay attention to that instrument. And that's probably one of the biggest gems because I used to tend to overproduce and not leave space for an artist or not leave space for somebody to imagine what could come next. Space is an instrument, and when he gave me that, it changed everything for me. High Tech and I, it's never been one of those things that we gave each other gems. Like we just been there. That's my brother. You know what I'm saying? So that's my brother in drums, and I love him to death. And Battle Cat continues to give me gems to this day. Um, for him, and it's something that I live by. Don't make the music if it don't feel good to you. Always create from the heart. And he was like, his whole thing is about sonics. And he said sonics originate from here. They don't originate from here. Make sure you're creating from your heart. And Battle Cat gives me that all the time.
Were you able to work with Quick at all? I noticed some of the sounds he had given
Mm.
to Dre, like drum sounds, certain patterns and whatnot. Were you able to work with DJ Quick at all during that time?
I never got a chance or an honor to be able to work with him, but we've definitely crossed paths. And again, that's one of my OGs, but we never got to work together, not yet.
I want to talk about your Grammy wins because you got 5 Grammy wins,
Yes,
which
sir.
is significant. Um, Obviously recognizing that and the talents. Did you ever, when at what point did you realize that I have made a significant impact in music? Not just because of the Grammy wins, but just being recognized by your fellow peers.
No lies with this honoring that's about to happen. Um, June 27th. I can't lie because it literally is this is my passion. This is not, I hate saying this because so many people say it and they abuse it, but I am music. Like I'm born of music. So it is who I am. And the fact that nobody has ever seen me go up and accept a Grammy. They know, you know what I'm saying? I'm never over in those fields and I'm not in the parties and I'm not. So it's just, this is the first time like people are like, man, you got 5 Grammys or you got this, you got that. And I'm like, okay, like I just love making music. Like I always respond like that. I love making music. But I think with this honoring, it's been the shout out to, writing sessions of America and Kevin Shine and everybody. Like it's actually awe-inspiring and I'm kind of just trying to embrace it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's really a shame that people didn't see you get the Grammy. And the only reason why I say that is because you and others have inspired many that are coming up and want to be in that position one day. And I always feel like it's always important to showcase people's wins because you inspire the next generation or the next person that may be, going down a similar path. But I also love the fact that you're also being honored, like you said, about the Writing Sessions of America at the Music Lounge on June 27th during the BET Awards weekend. Um, how when you first got the news, what went through your mind when you got the news that you were going to be honored during that eventful week?
I can't even lie, man. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. It's not everyone that knows me, everyone knows that I love my anonymity. I love the fact that I can exist in both worlds. I can make great music. I can get these accolades, but I can be unassuming and I can be at Disneyland with my children and people not hoard me. I love that. I love that because this is my passion. I'm not doing it to be famous. So this honoring is really like me kind of stepping out front and I'm not really used to that, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I'm really just I'm trying to embrace it all. And it's, like I said, big shout out to Kevin Shine. That's my brother. And we just realized that our assignments and our alignment is at, it's aligning. It's making sense, and we're both having the same music ministry. So it's just it's brethren. It's not just peers. This is different. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really looking forward to it.
When you're in the studio, when you're behind the boards, what is your creative process like when you get into that zone where you know you about to cook up some heat?
I go in with my heart first. Like this goes back to what, Kat has always said to me, but
Mm.
it's literally who I am. Like I just know to make music, and my emotions will drive it, my heart will drive it. My I never let my mind in there, because my mind is gonna go, what's the next single? What's on the charts? Who am I competing against? Who am I making this record for? Like my mind will do that. I don't do that. I just make the music, and then I'll let the music dictate.
You talked earlier about the importance of having a team.
Sure.
What type of team is Focus going to construct or has constructed to be able to have that type of success, camaraderie, and be able to display the music from the soul and from the heart to the masses?
The team that I'm a part of, the ICU, is probably one of the tightest and most amazing production teams I've ever been a part of. The team that I want to put together and that I'm hoping to put together are musicians of like mind and like spirits. And I already know, the name of my company personally is The Arm, the Alien Resonance Music Works. And then my team will be the leg, and that's the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And
Ooh.
yeah, and then Herb Herb Charwick, when I was on Pensado's place, gave me my motto, and he said, to get this quality, you got to pay an arm and a leg. So right now, my whole vision is together, but I have to get people that understand the vision, and they're not running after the bag.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, when you look at today, obviously you were in a pivotal era where more people will focus on the music and the art of music. And like you said, having the right energy for music, for production, for just, percussion, even,
Yeah, yeah.
the little, what we consider the little things, but are the major things when it comes to crafting a record and putting it out where it catches the eardrums of the people. When you look at hip hop, when you look at music now, what do you
Mm-hmm.
feel is missing from it that we got away from, let's say, 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Heart and substance. That's the only thing that's missing. There's no soul. There's no soul. We've been on an iron lung for years, and it's breathing for us. It's a whole industry that's breathing for us and telling us and dictating how we make our art, and dictating what our agenda is and what our message is, instead of people showing up authentically as they are. The If you look at the artists that are no longer with us, but how they resonate is because they authentically showed up as they were. XX Extacion, I think that's how you say his name, but um, he his fan base hasn't gone anywhere because he connected in such a real way. Juice World connected in such a real way. These might not be people that I listen to, but I see the resonance of how they affected their fan base. And I think like Mac Miller, man, look at that. So it's we need people that are connecting, and everybody's looking so much bigger and better, and like their life is so wonderful, but we need to be human.
Uh, you talk about who's some of the producers, if you do check out any producers of today's realm that really catch your ear and that you really say, okay, they are the ones that have this heart, this soul, this vibration that is needed to kind of somehow balance this music production scale that
Oh
we
my
are going through.
God. I can't believe you asked me this because I feel so bad. There's like, of course, I'm gonna shout out a lot of the producers that um I know that are on the come up and that I've known for years. One in particular, Siege Monstrosity. I think he's phenomenal. Like he really is one of my favorite producers as a person, but as a creative. Um, there's a kid that's on Instagram that makes this type of R&B that's just completely dreamy. Devin, I don't remember his last name, but he's one of my favorites on Instagram. Excuse me. I think that the the producer of now that is not walking the same path as all the other known producers would always be my favorite producer. I may not know names, but I love what this Instagram social media and platform has been doing for music makers. And I'm not gonna take it away from them and say that they're not producers, but I can see more musicianship and music making. I haven't heard them produce anything or put. I just see what they do for content. And there's a lot of music makers on Instagram that are just phenomenal, and they're creating from that great place.
Yeah, I mean, I look at producers that I like I said, I follow. I've followed you. I followed Khalil, Butter, up in the Bay, Bosco.
Hey,
Obviously,
Bosco, that's
I
what's
mean,
up.
there's a lot of even today's producers. I look at obviously Metro Boomin and what he's been able to accomplish. Hit Boy, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, what he's been able to do just with his sound and all the things he had to go through. Mike and Keys, um, just
Those
some
are
of
my
those.
guys too. Yep.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And obviously, you mentioned the great Battle Cat and what
Mhm.
he continues to do, and Daz Dillinger, Warren G, people like that. Um, but I look at I'm hopeful, and I don't know if you're hopeful still when it comes to music. When you hear some of the younger producers in the next generation and what they're doing, how
Mhm.
hopeful are you that we can music will eventually continue to evolve and be a little bit more balanced than what we're seeing currently?
I don't think that my hope lies on that part. I'm
Mhm.
trying to, with the help of Kevin and everybody at writing sessions, we're hoping to disrupt. I think that a lot of people are looking past the finish line and not looking at the race itself. And we have to get back to the part that it's an art. Allow people to express themselves, but I want people to express themselves. Don't express yourself as Metro Boomin, or express yourself as Hit Boy, or express yourself as me, or you know what I'm saying? Don't express yourself as the trend. Don't express yourself as the agenda. Just express yourself. If we had everybody looking like Renoir or Degas or uh, Salvador Dali, if everybody looked like that, then all art would be the same. Everybody has to expand themselves and really find themselves. And I think that one of the greatest things that we can do, and we have been doing, is attacking this thing called mental health that we
Mhm.
never talked about back in our day. We never talked about that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that this mental health thing, people really finding out who they are, people being vulnerable to who they are, and being okay with presenting who they are, that's going to create the inertia for this renaissance and this new found whatever it's going to be. And that's the art that I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to that.
How have you been able to balance your mental health? Because you're a father, you're a acclaimed, producer, you're working within the music industry. We know how stressful that can be. Obviously, everyday life, just being a man,
Life.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Being a black
Yeah.
man in this country. Like, how are you able to have some time for yourself and really have your mental health in order for you to be the best version of yourself?
I think that, and this, I can only speak for me because everybody has their own answer. I've learned that whatever comes my way has to come my way, um, because it all helps each other. So whatever I go through in life, it permeates and it presents itself in my creativity. Whenever I need that love or that replenishment, I have my children. You know what I'm saying? It all feeds one another. And I have to make sure that I carve out the time for my children and myself. So that's literally, it's a five-finger thing. Like I have to make sure that everything feeds each other and I have to carve out the time. And that's it. That's all. Like it's that hardwired. And I hope that answered your question, but I have to make sure that I give my time to my children and I give my time to myself.
Brother, you are singing to the choir. I
yes,
wholeheartedly understand what you are saying.
sir.
Um, let two things quickly. What's next for Focus? What are you working on currently, and what can we expect from you coming soon?
Well, I have my group that I love. Me, Denon Porter, and Dem Joints made a group called Read the PDF. We put out our first.
Oh, damn, man. I mean, come on, Focus, man. Don't do that to us now, man. Come on, man.
We put out our first offering. I think about a month and a half ago, 2 months
Mhm.
ago, and it's called "By the Time You Look Up and See What We're Doing," and it's really eclectic. It's really creative. It's not. It's art, no holds barred. It's our interpretation of what should be happening. So we're all producers, we're all singers, we're all rappers, we're all songwriters. So it's one idea from three different perspectives every song.
Okay.
So it's really something special, and I'm going to continue moving forward with that. And I'm trying to find out what these slashes after my name are going to be. Now that I'm 51, now that I've kind of nailed a lot of things that I wanted to do in the music, and I don't really see music being that the way to make sure my family's legacy is etched in stone. So I'm just trying to figure out if I'm going to transition into any other parts of the entertainment field. So I'm just, I'm feeling around.
Hey, man, I could definitely see you going into like different aspects of it because I feel like there's certain producers, there's certain musicians slash producers that can really get into various spaces that make sense, right? And
Yes,
that
sir.
can
Yeah.
elevate a culture. They can elevate and enlighten um, certain spaces. I really see you getting to various spaces because I believe you're that talented, but you have the enlightenment, you have the will and the wherewithal and the energy to be able to move yourself in various spaces that other audiences that may not be familiar with you can. I mean, we've seen Butter do it, we've seen DJ Quick do it, and I
Yeah.
like I said, I don't think you're any stranger to that aspect. Having said that, I'm gonna put you on the spot, focus for 1 second.
Okay.
Past or present, doesn't matter. You had a
Okay.
compilation of just producers that you could put together on this compilation. Who would some of those producers or any of those producers be that you would want to be on that particular compilation for the world to hear?
That's easy. Definitely my big brother, Dr. Dre, Stevie Wonder, Pastor, Present, Alive or Dead,
Alive or dead?
my father, Prince, DJ Premier, um, Jay Dilla. Let me see. And Rod Temperton. Definitely Quincy Jones, but Rod Temperton. Rod Temperton he's just special to me. He's just different.
That is a hell of a compilation. I will say. I was not expecting some of the producers, not because you didn't know. I just, sometimes you ask certain questions, you're like, okay, I can see this, and then you add
Yeah.
these other ingredients to it, and you're like, oh, okay,
No, I mean,
that one.
shoot. And Rich Harrison. Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh my God. You can never forget. You know what? I think a lot of people forget to mention his name because he's not on social media,
hmm.
but he's in the world, bro. That man, oh my God. Hats off. Rich Harrison.
Ooh, okay.
Battle Cat. Yeah. I can keep going, bro. My compilation would be a double album. Easy. Easy.
Hey, you know what? That is all right. Well, you know what, Focus? I just want to say thank you. I appreciate your time. I know you're very busy. I know you guys are working on a lot of different things at this time and space, but thank you for what you've done for music. Thank you for what you continue to do for the culture and elevating the culture and enlightening the culture, most importantly. Congratulations, let me say once again, man,
Thank
on
you,
you
bro.
being honored on in June during the BET Awards weekend when it
Yes, sir.
comes to the Writing Sessions America Lounge, which everybody can make sure they participate. somehow, some way. Make sure
Yeah,
you get
come
down
through.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care by plane, train, bus,
Yeah, you
scooter,
got
however you got to get down there. It is LA, so a little bit of traffic, you can get around it. But congratulations on that.
Thank
That's
you.
the phenomenal. Congratulations on the Grammys as well. Looking forward to you winning more Grammys and
Thank
getting
you,
more
bro.
accolades as well. Last thing, let is there anything else you want to share? Any type of wisdom, advice, jewels you want to drop before we get on out of here, sir?
Consistent, consistency. I think everybody says it, but you have to live it. You have to practice it. Consistency is everything. You can't give up. I told this story too many times. I've been in professionally since I was 19. My first hit was 32 or 34. So at the end of the day, you just have to stay consistent and you can't give up. So I really hope that when you learn my story or you connect with me, that I can inspire and motivate and not jade or feed your insecurities. I hope that I can strengthen you.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you so much. He is the one and only Focus. He's responsible for over 50 million albums sold, 5 Grammy Awards. This man is definitely entrenched in the culture. Make sure you guys go follow him on all social media platforms and keep up to date with what he's got going. Hey man, that three-head monster that you created, sir. I'm looking forward to more projects from y'all three because goodness
Thank you,
gracious,
bro. Thank
that is
you.
amazing.
All right.